Okay, so technically, I'm not sure if this is an unknown film, because the thing is, it's kind of hard to tell again, and even if it is, I'm doing a different type of movie review from my typical unknown film reviews, because I just kind of like feel like it. What the hell is wrong with my camera? Looks so weird. Whatever. Point is, No Escape is maybe an unknown film, who knows, made about $50 million against a $5 million budget, so it's successful, but I don't know if too many people know about it. I mean, Jeremy Johns did a review, some other people did a review a while ago, but I don't know, I feel like doing it. Either way, it's a 2015 action thriller movie on Netflix and on Pluto TV, which I think Area 51 was on at some point. I tried watching it on there. I think I did. It took like an hour for them to get to, like, actually Area 51, so that sucked. And it stars Owen Wilson, Mike Bell, Pierce Brosnan, and Sterling Jarrett, who I think was in the Conjuring movies. Like, I believe so. I'm not actually sure. Basically, it's about this family of four that's moving to some country. I forget it was. Oh, Southeast Asia. That's where they're moving to begin like a new life, and like this water work company. And he's like one of the main people. Like, there's basically like these banners about it and stuff, you know, like it's all over the place because it's very popular, and it's got like his face on it with a few other people, and that comes into play heavily into the plot as to why they're being hunted. So yeah, they're basically there to start over as a new life. They meet this guy played by Pierce Brosnan, Hammond, not John Hammond. That'd be kind of funny if he actually had made a few dinosaurs and then just released them and like they start killing people, whatever. But the point is, so they're having a normal life until shit starts to go wrong. Their hotel is broken into by like all these people going after them and just a bunch of other people, and it becomes basically a war zone. So when I heard about this movie, it looked interesting. I put it on my list on Netflix, and then I just decided to watch it, you know, last few days before summer. Summer has officially ended, but I remember a lot about it. And it has like a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't give a shit. I don't care that some people say, like, oh, Rotten Tomatoes is just a bunch of people, like, bought for reviews. Like, you only say that when they have a different opinion than you. Like, shut it, okay? Rotten Tomatoes is just collecting scores, okay? People can be biased, so can fans. So don't act like it's just critics. But they had said that it had a kind of retrograde view of, like, it didn't have a very good view of foreign people. Yeah, an uncomfortably retrograde worldview. And after watching the movie, I don't really feel that same way. Like, I'm just gonna search up the word again, just be fully sure of what it means. Directed or moving backwards, a degenerate. Okay, so kind of a not really positive look on them. And the thing is, though, I disagree with that, because that is not really how they're presented. Yes, foreign people are the enemies in this film, technically, but it goes much deeper than that, but I'll address that very soon. So what I want to start saying off is, okay, I guess I'll start with the pros, because there's much more pros and cons, because I really fucking like this movie. This movie does not hold back, honestly. Even if it does not hold back a lot, because it is an intense movie. It gets going pretty quickly, and the characters aren't super duper well developed, but they're likable enough where you feel bad for them. They're likable, the family of four, they're likable, you care about them. It's intense, but it's not intense every moment to the point where it's like you kind of get desensitized to it, because there are moments that are genuinely like, holy shit. Like, there's a moment where these few people are like kind of like strapped, like I guess they have rope around them, tied up, and then the truck just plows them down. Like, you don't fully see it, but the implication is really clear. It's really fucked up, and it's like, holy shit. I haven't seen that really in many movies. It might have been like some Purge movie. I feel like that was probably something they would have done, like, ooh, get rid of the government people. I heard those movies aren't really subtle anyway. The first one really isn't, but that one's just alright. It's not as bad as people are saying, but still. Point is, it does not hold back, and yes, it's intense a lot of the time, but there are moments of kind of like, you let your guard down. Like, well, the first 20 minutes is not like super duper intense. It does start off with like the initial attack, kind of, but from a different perspective. Then it goes back to 17 hours earlier, which isn't that bad because you meet the characters, and then once you kind of go to like the day, you realize, oh shit, okay, it's already happened, because during the previous night, where, you know, they were partying and stuff, that was when the initial first 5 minutes happened. I'm assuming, because it said like 17 hours later and earlier from that attack, and they have an 11-hour flight, so when they get there, there's only a few hours till it's like sundown, so I'm assuming that's when the initial few minutes happen, like that beginning. So it's kind of like, oh, these people are partying, but the invasion has already happened. Not really invasion, but their attack has already happened and stuff like that, I guess. So that was kind of cool. It's kind of fucked up thinking about that. Like, oh, they're having a good time. You know, Jack is talking to like Hammond, like a bunch of other people, and they're having a good time. And I think Kenny, but like, you know, it's already happened. So when it comes to the day, it's like, it's just really intense. That actual initial attack for the main characters is really well done, and it sets it up very well. It's intense. It's kind of like out of the blue, but not really. It's not just like completely random, because again, the first 5 minutes, but that was set up really well. It still kind of feels like out of the blue. It was very cool. It was very intense, and most of the movie is intense, but there are moments where you kind of like let your guard down, or it's not super duper intense. Like there's a moment where you think like the helicopter's coming up, so like there's a brief moment of rest, but then you realize, oh shit, nope, that's not help. That is just a bunch of people trying to kill your ass. So that was cool. And then there's some moments where they get into the hotel briefly until it like blows up. So yeah, there are only brief moments, but they let your guard down so that you're like, oh shit. Or there are some moments that are a bit longer, but most of the time it's quick, but it still does the job to make you put your guard down or just feel a little bit more relaxed. And then when it comes back up again, it's like, oh shit, this is like intense, because, you know, not all situations have constant like adrenaline pumping shit like Saw Spiral, which most of it is kind of just that. I think Chris Stockman said that, but yeah, it does kind of like, it is kind of like that. This film doesn't do that. It has moments of not tension, just like kind of like character building, or just kind of like little moments that help make the tension work really well. And for a $5 million budget movie, even if they had actually $10 million, if you want to include the marketing, and even if they used a little bit of that marketing, I don't know. The point is, for $5 million, it looks really good. That's another thing. It looks good. It's shot well, but main thing I'm talking about is like these special effects, even if it's CGI or practical. It looks good. There's the whole thing with like the helicopter going out to the hotel. That was cool. And then there's like the little set piece where they have to throw the kids onto the other building with the mother holding them and like getting scratches. And another thing is, they do kind of get like ugly, not like ugly, but like, you know, scratches and stuff. It's not like the typical Hollywood stuff where they're like completely fine looking, they're still attractive. Like, I'm not saying they look ugly, but like they got scratches, they got mud on their shirt, and it feels realistic. So that was cool. Made it feel like, oh shit, so yeah, this is kind of how they would look after the situation. It just feels much more realistic. For the short amount of time that Hammond is in it and Kenny, they're cool. I mean, Hammond isn't exactly a good character as it's revealed, but he at least kind of feels bad, I guess. And the threat was very, I mean, the villain, I don't know about saying villains, but they were still good. It was just well done. It was intense. The deaths were shocking, although there was one kind of death that I saw coming. It was during the hotel, like jumping out to the other building. One character who I knew was going to die because the kids were taking forever, but I'm fine with that because they're kids. That death was a little bit like, yeah, I knew they were going to die, but the initial thing with the hotel and that part was still really cool. A lot of cool set pieces, very intense for small budget film, because yeah, it had like about a $5 million budget. It looks great. It's well done. Characters are likable. And I guess I'll get into the twist, because it turns out the reason why them saying it's not a very good look on foreigners doesn't make sense and stuff, because it's revealed that the Americans are not actually really the good guys, because from what I remember, this is literally the twist. It turns out the people, like, the reason why they're being hunted, like the main family, is because they're part of this water company, and among other things, I believe they gave them loans that the foreigners and like the other people, like the, I don't want to say Asians, but the people there hunting them couldn't afford. And they just took over the company and they didn't like that. So they had actual reasons. So that was cool. It didn't just make it feel like, oh, the Americans are good. The Asians, God, I feel so stupid. I feel so stupid saying like, the foreigners are bad. No, it's not that. It is not that. They're both bad, and you can understand both sides. I guess business, you know, it's business, but also the other side, like, that's still fucked up. And, you know, you feel bad for the main characters because, like, he didn't really know that. And it's not like the whole typical thing, like, not taking responsibility. Like, he didn't know that, but Hammond does know that, and he feels kind of bad. So it's not just like, oh, all foreigners are bad. Like, I'm pretty sure the Vietnamese actually help the main characters at the end. Because initially they're like, do not cross this border. But then when the people hunting them try to shoot them, the Vietnamese, like, the people there are like, no, do not shoot or we'll declare this like an act of war or something like that. So it's like, oh no, so not all foreigners are bad. Why the hell is this movie saying it has a very retrograde view of just like foreigners and like different people? It really doesn't. It's like them saying that Separation, that 2021 movie with like that dude from Hitman Agent 47 is, like, sexist. Maybe a little bit, I don't know, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, obviously it's not a good thing to be sexist. It's just weird. It feels like they're really just coming up with weird excuses to not like a movie. Yeah, retrograde worldview. Like, what? It's not really against foreigners or anything like that. But whatever. Yeah. So that twist was cool, but I'll get into the cons now. The lack of Pierce Brosnan playing the Hammond dude and the Kenny dude was kind of lame, honestly. That kind of sucked. Because they were in it for the first 20 minutes or so. Well, mainly Hammond, and he was cool. And then a part of the hotel scene he was in. And then after that, Kenny came along with him. But then very shortly after, they both died in cool ways. But still, it's like, that sucks. Like, you only have them in it mainly doing badass cool stuff for like 5-10 minutes. It's just like, it would have been nice to have them in it more. You could create some more interesting dynamics, I guess. That would have been interesting. I don't know, it just feels like a little, it's weird because he's like the third person listed as a cast member, like Pierce Brosnan, but he's only in it for like less than a third of the movie, so it's kind of weird, honestly. So that's the only real problem I have. Yeah, the kids are annoying, but they're kids, and they're not as bad most of the time, and it's a crazy fucking situation. Like, what, did you expect them to be completely calm and collected? No. And I'm fine with it, because they're not so fucking insufferable. But yeah, that's the only problem I have. The lack of those two characters did suck. And I guess one more thing I liked was that they had the scene, I guess kind of spoilers, because I don't want to spoil what happens truly in this moment. Just see it. It's literally on Netflix. Even if you fucking torrent it. Just at least watch it, man. Because it's a fucking great movie, honestly. It's like amazing, basically. There's a moment where one of the kids, I believe he was Bees, I forget, or Lucy, one of them, was forced to shoot Jack. Well, like, basically, she was being held at gunpoint. If she didn't shoot and kill Jack, like her father, she would have died. And he was kind of, like, trying to comfort her and be like, you know, it'll be okay and stuff like that. And it was, like, super duper fucked up. It doesn't actually go through, which kind of sucks. It would have been, like, super duper dark and been like, holy shit, this movie truly didn't hold back. That would have been messed up and really showed the intensity. I mean, at least it does give, I believe, Annie something to do. I believe that was her that, like, hit the dude, like, holding one of the kids at gunpoint. So that was kind of cool. She didn't do too much in the movie. She wasn't bad, but, I mean, at least they did have that. But, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just like that they did that whole scene that was, like, really fucked up and, like, intense. And I liked it. Not in, like, some sick way. It was kind of like, that's an interesting idea. Super fucked up. It's well done. Would I have gone through it with the movie? I guess so. I mean, it was close to the end, so it wouldn't have been like an hour of just no Owen Wilson. Like, no. It would have just been like 10 minutes. But it still would have been intense. It's still a good scene. There's no problems. I'm just wanted to point that out. Not as a con, just as a pro. And even if it is a con that they didn't go through, it's like such a small one, it doesn't really matter. But either way, point is, I really enjoyed this movie. It's really great. It's not anti-foreigner, which that review seems to suggest, or like there's consensus, because it says retrograde worldview, which I'm assuming means like foreigners and stuff like that, and other people in general. Not really. Like, it doesn't portray either side as necessarily good or bad. You can understand both sides, like, again, business, but also living. You know, like, yeah, they're trying to do business, which I guess can make sense, but the way they're going about it is not very good, because those other people, those people, they're being affected by it. Yes. The film was enjoyable. I thought it was great. I would recommend you watching it, if you wanted to. And I'd give No Escape an A-. Yeah, it's one of best films I've seen in a little bit. Some other movies I watched was The Darkest Hour, 2011. Alright. Homefront, which is also right. I believe that was written by Sylvester Stallone. It said in the film. A few other films. The Hunt for the Wilder People for School. That's a great movie. I saw that before, not even just for school, but that was great. Amazing movie, literally. Like, very little to no complaints. I'd give that like an A. By the way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Seeing you in the next video. So yeah, bye-bye.